The HP Pavilion line of computers was fairly similar to the Dell Inspiron line of computers. Both were particularly well known for laptop models more than desktop models, at least it feels like. Both had desktop models, and there were instances of both of them having a desktop model that was comparable to laptops. The point being, this is the HP Pavilion 500-a60 from around 2013. Well, it has a glossy thing here, so it automatically fails the "is this a good computer for me" test. Also, the markings are disgusting. Ugh. Powered by the AMD A6-5200 at 2 GHz. In some areas is held back. I got this one in mid-2024, and it's probably seen a couple better days, I don't know. So looking at the outside on the front here, you can see that there is this glossy piano black finish, which, why? As in, why do I need to be reminded of my horrible face when I boot this up? But we've got a power button, a disk drive, which is underneath this door, an SD card reader, a microphone jack, a headphone jack, and 2 USB ports. Oh, also, this cover smudges easily. Let's see how easily my finger will smudge on this. Wow, surprisingly easy. It seems like that smudges easily. Alright, let's spin this around. Windows 8. Alright, warning, there's a fan. Yeah, let's just, no. Probably shouldn't do that. Going back behind here, we've got audio jacks, Ethernet, USB, DVI, VGA, and DC in. Oh boy, it's one of those things again. The side panel is held in with a T4 Torx screw, so let's get that side panel cracked open. Oh, I need to get a screwdriver. Okay. Alright, which one is this? Not that. I think that's likely the... Why is this sticking to my finger? Alright, come on. My finger is not that tender. I think this is the one. What? Oh, come on. It's not that cold outside. Come on. I've got other things I gotta do. Ah, there we go. That is a T4 screw, if you are curious. At least I think. Might have seen a couple better days, but still. Ah! This is why you should probably wear gloves when working with this kinds of stuff. We do have some other personal protective equipment. I don't think that's very... Not hooked up to a power supply. This is from the motherboard, and that's quite a small motherboard. Anywho, we've got the hard drive, optical drive, memory, AMD A6 APU, and onboard Wi-Fi. That last one is presumably, but I think you can understand. 2013, October 18th. It's likely when somewhere around the time that this thing was built. So that's kind of cool, I guess. Ah! Oh, it's fine. Alright, let's get our Torx screw back in there. I'm not sure if this is T4, but it works, so... Alright, I say we go take this to the tent. We go take this to go boot it up on our thing. This computer has Windows 8.1 installed because that's what this originally came with, and as a result, that means that I don't need to deal with activation because of the way that Windows 8.1 activation works. However, going into Specky, it proves that this thing has quite a hot processor. I don't know if this has to do with the APU being a combination of a CPU and a GPU, but that's around the heat output of my graphics card, and compared to the specs of that HP Compaq 6005 Pro MT, that processor and that computer only gets to around 25 degrees Celsius. Think I know something that I can cook eggs on now, other than a stovetop. As an additional side note, this thing seems to have a quite loud hard drive when it's in use. It makes all these rattling, I guess, noises, and I'm not sure if it has to do with the age of the drive or anything, just it's kind of loud. Moving on to applications, I'll first get out of the way the things I put on here, starting with LibreOffice 4.1, because screw conformity and the use of Microsoft Office, I prefer FOSS. Starting with LibreOffice Writer, which is the word processing program, and we can type stuff and whatnot in here. It's fairly similar to Word, and it's nowadays bundled with a lot of different Linux distros. And there's also LibreOffice Calc, which is similar to Excel, and once again be biased towards Blueberry. Because why the hell not? It's just funny at this point. Going back to the proprietary land, we've got iTunes. Now back to free software, there's Paint.net, which allows us to edit pictures and whatnot, and it's similar to MS Paint, but it's much better. Next, I want to go browse the internet on this thing, because as you can clearly see, this thing isn't already that bad, just I wouldn't really try putting Windows 11 on this thing. In Supermium, we can go to YouTube and watch videos. Unfortunately, no YouTube section for this time, because the previous video that I watched YouTube on was not released yet, but we'll keep the chain going, don't worry.
It's a successor Windows Vista, and has still got a fair solid following to this day. But there is an OS that came before it that is equally as important, and saw at least fairly decent market share when it came to Windows versions. A version of Windows that was supported for quite a bit of time, but died a slow, painful death. Windows 2000. So, to understand...
My own website loads perfectly fine, as to be expected due to its lack of overall advanced HTML and CSS and scripting and stuff. So I don't think it's really that fair to use my own website as a benchmark, because it's obviously going to probably work well. Reddit also seems to work fairly well, so that's cool. And Blue Sky loads perfectly fine. It takes a couple seconds to load, but it loads, and it looks normal, so that's good, I guess. So I suppose we should probably move on to games now. As a side note, the games that you're going to be seeing are a good chunk of them will likely be reused for the Windows 8.1 in 2025 video that this PC is going to be used for, and by this point, my back was starting to hurt from, well, the compact amount of space that I have available when I'm recording. Starting with Minecraft 1.8 from 2014. This version was from the time frame that this version of Windows was around, and so I feel like, given my previous experience with the Dell Inspiron 3252, if this PC probably would better handle a older version of Minecraft, and it mostly does. It's a bit slow in some areas, but it's tolerable. Next up, we've got Geometry Dash, which somehow surprisingly still supports even as early as Windows 7. I don't think this is really supposed to happen, as Steam doesn't really work on Windows 7 and 8.1 anymore, but just start up Windows or Steam while not connected to the internet. It's fairly simple, but why can't they just have old legacy versions for old versions of Windows? Next up, Toho 1310 Desires. I opted to choose Yomu this time instead of Reimu because I want to try something different this time. I don't really think I'm going to be using Yomu more in this game, but you never know. Next up, Bishop Runner. I managed to get through the first level just fine this time, which is cool. I struggled with the second level, but meh. It's not like you're gonna really see it anyway. Second to last, we've got Portal. Portal runs fairly well on this computer on its default graphics settings. I don't need to give it a literal graphic lobotomy, so, I mean, it gets some bonus points, I guess, for that.
Very good. You are now in possession of the Aperture Science handheld portal device. With it, you can create your own portals. These intradimensional gates have proven to be completely safe. The device, however, has not. Do not touch the operational end of the device. Do not look directly at the operational end of the device. Do not submerge the device in liquid, even partially. Most importantly, under no circumstances.
Last but not least, there's Peggle. This doesn't really have a lot of significance, but Peggle, for whatever reason, was playing in what seemed to be a lower frame rate. This isn't from my camera being too hot, it literally seems to be playing in a lower frame rate than I expected. I don't know why, I'm not sure if I've never noticed it, and if it's always been this way, but it's there. That's generally going to conclude what I want to get at. Overall, the system isn't that bad, but it's not really the best. I feel like it is semi-held back by the AMD APU, and I forgot to mention, this system does not have a lot of expandability. You can't get upgrade cards, but you can replace a hard drive and memory, presumably. So that, combined with the fact that it's fairly hot, and mine is got a fairly smudged and marked front panel, and the hard drive noises, it's rather mediocre at best.